the 3rd,
March the 3rd, okay.
2003, and we're in the home of Dennis L. Nelson, who lives at 125 South First Street in Oldsburg, Kansas. He was born January the 8th, 1919,
That's right.
so you're 84 years old. And I'm Dean Schoengert. I will be interviewing Dennis, and I am the coordinator for the history project in our county. Did you graduate from high school
Oh, yes, I sure did.
here in Oldsburg?
In Oldsburg, yes.
And then where were you when you got drafted?
I was on the farm. I worked with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tried to get deferred because I was farming, but I had a younger brother to take care of the farming, so I was inducted.
But that was before Pearl Harbor?
Yes. I think service record shows I was inducted about October the 30th of be 41, I guess, wouldn't it be?
Where did you go first?
Well, the induction center was at,
Was it Fort Leavenworth?
yeah, sure, that's what it was. Fort Leavenworth, yeah.
Did you go down there with a group of guys, or?
Yeah, there was a bunch from our county, our draft board went down in a bus load or something. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I passed the examination,
It's a
and
physical examination.
Yeah, physical. Yeah.
Uh-huh. You remember anything more about your induction experience?
Nothing really to write home about. I can't think of anything special about the induction.
Did they cut off your hair?
No,
No?
they never did cut off my hair.
They gave you a uniform?
Oh yes, they sure did.
So about how long were you there?
Well, I don't know. It was
A few days, a week?
close to a week. I couldn't say it was a full week, but it wasn't very long. That was at Fort Leavenworth.
They shipped you out?
And they shipped me out to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where I had my basic training.
North Carolina.
That's right,
And
North Carolina. Fort
you-
Bragg, North Carolina.
Was that a long trip for you?
Well, it was a long ways from home. I had never been away from home really before. Yeah.
This was just basic infantry training.
Well, I told them that I did typing and I liked office work, and so they sent me to a special school at Fort Bragg, and had to do with making out the morning reports. I don't know if you're familiar with morning reports or not, but I get to keep track of the personnel, the ranks, and what they did, and where they were at, and things like that.
And that was at Fort Bragg. So you stayed there for a while?
Well, I stayed there while I had my basic training. No, let's see. I was at Fort. Well, they sent me to Fort Knox, yeah, when I got through with Fort Bragg. They joined the 6th Armored Division. Well, we activated it there.
You learned to type in high school?
Oh yes, I had typing in high school, and so they sent me to clerical school, and so that's what I did. Well, I was what they call, I don't know if you're acquainted with morning reports.
Mm-hmm.
They keep track of all the changes of events, the record of events, from promotions and where we've been and all of that. So,
About how many men were you keeping records on?
well, for the battalion, there was about 700 men in the battalion. There was 3 firing batteries, and then the headquarters battery, and then there was a medical detachment. There was about 700 in the whole battalion. But I had before me a chart. They'd ask me for a certain person's name or record or serial number or his rank, or I could give that to them because I had it right before me. What they did, what work they did.
So you had to file each person's.
Oh yeah, I had a
record.
file for each person, for each name. Yeah.
Anything exciting happen there at Fort Knox? Do you have any accidents? Or
No accidents. Nothing special to write home about, really.
what'd you do on weekends? Did you get off base at all?
I never did. I wasn't one to go into town.
See, what state is Fort Knox in?
Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Were your quarters pretty good there, or were they very temporary?
Well, they were kind of tents mostly. That's the kind of yeah, just rows of tents. It's about half a dozen in each tent. We didn't live in barracks there.
Oh. Did you have a central mess hall?
Oh yes, yeah, there was a mess hall for the whole battery. Yeah,
How was the food?
it was okay. You know, didn't have to go hungry, or I enjoyed it, the food.
How long were you at Fort Knox then?
Well, I was there about 3 months,
Oh.
just for the basic training.
Okay. Then where'd you go?
Well, then we went to Camp Chaffee, Arkansas. I don't know if you heard of Camp Chaffee or not, but it was just a new camp at that time. And they put me in what they call the 6th Armored Division. And I was in the 93rd Armored Field Artillery Battalion. But then they pulled that battalion out. This is as a separate battalion. They just sent us wherever they needed them. So we wasn't with the 6th Armored very long. Just a separate battalion and just wherever they needed us.
What kind of battalion?
It was armored field artillery, 105 millimeter howitzer.
Oh. So you had training on that gun, or were you still
I
doing
didn't have
office
to train
work?
on the gun. I was trained to do paperwork.
Very good. What was life like there at Camp Chaffee?
Oh, it was,
Were you in tents again, or?
well, let's see. Yeah, Camp Chaffee, we had barracks.
Barracks.
Yeah. And Fort Knox, it was tents. About 6 people in a tent.
Were you doing the morning report again?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I did during the entire service.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, I just kept track of where every man, what his duty was. Somebody come and ask me where so-and-so is, so what his rank is, or what he's doing. I had it right before me. I could tell him. You want to know if there's any openings for promotion? Well, I had a table of orders that I just kept that up to date each day. If there was a room for a promotion to sergeant or corporal or whatever. I had kind of a line, one side how many the table of ordnance called for, and another side how many there was of that, and what rank he was and everything. So the sergeant wanted to look for promotions. Well, I could tell him who was eligible, that is, who was open anyway. I couldn't tell if he was eligible for it, but I could tell there was an opening.
have any trouble with your officers over you or men under you?
No, no, I never had any trouble with them.
Got along fine.
No, I just real good. Sure did. We were a separate battalion. They just put us where they needed us.
How many of those artillery guns was your battalion in charge of? You had a large number, or?
Well, they had the 105 millimeter howitzer.
They pulled those behind trucks?
Yeah, they pulled it behind the truck, yeah.
About how many of those guns?
How many guns? Well, I know there was 3 firing batteries.
Okay.
And they had a medical detachment, and there was a service battery and a headquarters battery. So.
Did you know, every morning there was roll call, as I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have to make a record of that? Or
No,
that
I
was
didn't
not a
have-
part of your office
No,
work?
but the first sergeants in every battery, they make out what they call the morning report, and they'd come into the battalion headquarters, and I would, from the information on that, I would record it. And I would know the rank of every man in the battalion, and if there was an opening for a promotion.
Well, so you were at Camp Chaffee, and then where did you go?
Then we went to Fort Knox, Kentucky. And I guess from there we went overseas.
Okay. What kind of
Let's see, we was at over there in Arkansas, Camp Chaffee, Arkansas. That's why I said we had some basic training. Yeah.
And what kind of experience was that, going overseas? You took a train to New York, or?
Yeah, we took a train to, I guess, yeah, it would be New York, it's a port of embarkation.
What kind of ship did you get on?
Well, it was all Army troops on it. I don't know one ship from another. I've never been on a ship before.
So what kind of experience was that for you? Did you get sick on the trip?
No, I can't remember that I got particularly sick any time, seasick. I thought maybe I would.
Did you have some kind of duty while you were on the ship, or just?
Well, I kept track of the personnel, you know,
Again,
what they were doing. Because on the boat there was nothing special to write down there, but no change, I guess Bonnie would say, each day.
and you remember where you landed in Africa?
Oran, I believe it was, yeah.
That'd be North Africa somewhere? Or
Yeah, it was North Africa.
Where was the fighting by then?
Well, the fighting was about over up there then, so we didn't get in on the fighting until up southern France.
How long were you in North Africa then, about?
Oh, probably six weeks, something like that, probably. Kind of a staging area.
You said 6 weeks?
Yeah. Something like that. I can't remember the exact time. It wasn't too long.
You remember what year it was, and when you left North Africa then, did you go directly to southern France, or
Well,
did you go into Italy or Sicily, or?
yeah, we went up through an invasion of Sicily. I mean, Italy. And came up through southern France. And I was with the personnel department, so I wasn't really out in where the fighting men, really, because I was in with personnel. But we was up, so we seen Well, they were firing the big guns over us and all that, but
What kind of office did you have when you're moving like that?
what
In
kind
the-
of office?
In the field? Did you-
Well, when they had those there, we called them the 6x6 trucks. Yeah,
and that's where your office was?
yeah. Well, we had tents we set up too.
And then tents?
Yeah.
Slept in tents or slept
Yeah.
in the truck? Were you then finally pulled out of Italy to get over to southern France, or?
Well, the whole battalion went. I mean, I was with the group.
Yes.
Went in, and invaded southern France. So our outfit was with the invasion of southern France.
Mm-hmm. You have any scary times there in southern France?
Well, depends on what you call scary. You can hear the shells go over. Why, you call that scary or not? But
Didn't have any land near you or anything?
not particularly close, no.
Because you were in a protected area behind the front.
Well,
always.
we weren't really up on the front.
Yes.
We was personnel, and
Of course.
we didn't do much of the hand fighting like that. Or
Was General Patton a part of that invasion?
yes, he was.
And so he was your top general, or?
Well, we had a lot of officers under him.
Yes.
We didn't. He was with Patton's army, yeah, but I didn't see much of him.
Of course. How far did you get in that southern France invasion?
Well, we came up there, we crossed the Rhine, went into Germany.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Then we went on in to Berlin, and that way it went.
Really?
So,
All the way to Berlin? How'd you get across the Rhine?
well, they had these barges. You just drove those trucks on the barge, and they just took us across.
The war was over when you got to Berlin?
Well,
I mean, had
yeah, that was when we get to Berlin. That was about the end of it. Yeah,
Hitler had already.
see, all they call it quits. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's right.
right. How long would that take from southern France to Berlin? You have any idea? So many months, was it?
Well, I don't know what year it was in southern France. About 43, something like that. The war wasn't over till 45.
I don't know. When did D-Day take place?
That was what, June 6th, wasn't it?
44, I believe.
40,
I think it was 44.
44, or was it?
Was it wintertime when you were going up through France? Cold, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was cold.
Did you suffer a lot from the cold, or were you pretty?
Oh, we had warm clothes. The uniform was heavy clothes.
Have any trouble getting gasoline and other supplies that you needed?
No, we seemed to have all the gasoline we
You
needed.
did well. Huh?
Ammunition.
Where did you get a? Was your unit in the Battle of the Bulge?
The unit was. I was with the clerical, so I wasn't exactly in the
Yeah.
heat of it, but
But your unit was.
the unit was, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there was a lot of casualties because I was the one that kept track with the personnel. So any casualty, well, of course, I had to make out the casualty report. So I knew what was going on.
Oh my.
And we had to write to the family to tell them that they'd been killed. Well, we didn't write to the paper. We sent it into headquarters, and they sent it in.
Battle of the Bulge time was the worst time for casualties, was it? Or
It probably was, yeah. Of course, we came up through southern France, and
Mhm. Well, how did you find out that the war was over?
well, we had radios. We had radios in our trucks or whatever you call them,
Mhm.
6x6.
Was that a surprise or memorable moment, or you were expecting it?
Well, we seen how it was going. Yeah, we seen that it was just a matter of time.
Hmm.
Yeah, we could tell that by the new. We had radios too, so we could listen to radio.
Did you expect to go home immediately?
Well, not exactly. I can't remember the exact date of my discharge. It was the middle of October. And like in a little bit, maybe a week or two, of being exactly 4 years. It was the 30th of October that I went in, and it was just a couple of weeks in being that when I went out. So.
Uh-huh. How did you get home?
You mean from
You were in Berlin, then you had to leave Berlin and come home some way.
well,
When you got word that you're being sent home, I suppose.
yeah, well, they had their army trucks that took us to the port of embarkation where we got onto the ship to go back home again. Yeah, that was a pretty nice feeling to be back. Been gone for a couple of years. I was in the service like 4 years altogether. October 41 to October 45.
I assume the ship landed in New York,
Yes, in New York.
and you were sent somewhere for. Where did you go from New York?
Well, I went to. I suppose I went back to Leavenworth again. Yeah, where I was inducted.
And they didn't keep you there very long. They let you out pretty quick.
Yeah, it wasn't too long. I can't remember how long it was, but it wasn't very long.
And you come back to the farm, or what did you do after?
Yeah, I came back to the farm.
Have you been a farmer then most of your life?
Yes, I was a farmer.
Your dad was still living when you.
Yeah, my dad was still living when I returned. My mother just passed away before I went in,
Oh.
so she missed out on that. Probably better for her, I don't know. She probably would have worried a lot when I was over there. But she wasn't too well. So
Did you marry after you got back, or before you went?
no, I never went with any girl before I went, so I never had anybody spotted. So I met my wife. Well, it was just a local girl,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I knew her all my life. I knew the family, put it that way.
Okay. So you've been a farmer here in the Oldsburg community then,
Oh, yes,
till you retired and
yeah, that's right.
moved into town?
Well, I
Then you moved into town.
moved into town, yes. My son-in-law, he took over the farm,
Oh.
yeah.
How long have you been living here in this house?
Let's see. I can't think offhand now what year this was built.
And Has it been,
We had this house built when I moved to town.
so it must be more than 10 years?
Oh, it hasn't been that long.
Hasn't been that long.
No. I can't think what.
Well, you're 80.
Offhand.
You're 84, so I thought maybe you.
Well, let's see. It'd have to be, wouldn't it? Yeah. It would have to be.
Well, it's interesting that you had a military experience
That's right. Yeah.
with the typewriter.
It was a typewriter. Yeah, that's right. I thought it was back a little from the front, so I didn't expose to the danger that the men were. But every once in a while, we could have a shell land somewhat pretty close. And we could, the planes to go over to bomb, they went over. We could, sometimes we've seen the bombs dropped out of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
We were a lot safer than those that were up on the battlefront.
Interesting that in your rural high school here, that you had typing,
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah,
and that typing,
they typed and put me in the with the personnel that you know. I was morning report sergeant. I kept track of them, the duty status of all the men, the ranks, what they were doing, and all the record of events where we've been, all that. So they could write a history of what I put in the morning report.
you didn't bring back any memorabilia from Germany or France or Italy or Africa?
Not that I can think of special that I brought back.
You still have your uniform?
Yes, I still have the uniform someplace. I couldn't. I got to find
Bet-
it someplace, I suppose.
I bet you could still wear it. You probably haven't gained
Well,
a
I
lot.
have. If I had gained, I've lost it. I mean, I'm sure I could get back in it now.
Well, thank you, Mr. Nelson,
Yeah,
for this
well,
time
you're
and
welcome.
your willingness to do this for us.
To the States,
Did you?
yeah. Yeah, they carry their firearms.